Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. One evening as I was leaving the center after a support group meeting, I quite literally ran into someone entering the building. Papers went flying, and as we both knelt to gather them, I found myself looking into the warmest brown eyes I'd ever seen. "I'm so sorry," the woman said, her voice soft and melodic. I wasn't watching where I was going. "No worries," I replied, handing her the last of her scattered papers. "I'm Emma, by the way." She smiled, and I felt my heart skip a beat. "I'm Olivia. It's nice to meet you, Emma." We ended up talking for nearly an hour, standing there in the entryway of the center. Olivia was a therapist who specialized in LGBTQ+ issues, and she was there to lead a workshop. As we chatted, I found myself drawn to her warmth and intelligence. Before she had to leave for her workshop, Olivia paused, seeming to gather her courage. "Emma, would you like to get coffee sometime? I'd love to continue our conversation." I felt a flutter of excitement in my chest. "I'd like that very much," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. As I walked home that evening, I couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of possibility, of a future filled with love and acceptance. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of coffee dates and long conversations with Olivia. We talked about everything, our childhoods, our hopes for the future, our favorite books and movies. I shared my journey of transition, and she listened with empathy and understanding. On our 5th date, as we walked hand in hand through a local park, Olivia turned to me with a serious expression. "Emma, I want you to know something," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I'm falling for you. Not because you're trans or in spite of it, but because you're you. Your journey is part of what makes you the amazing woman you are." I felt tears welling up in my eyes as I squeezed her hand. "I'm falling for you too," I whispered. This was what I'd been searching for. Not just acceptance, but celebration of who I was. As my relationship with Olivia deepened, I found myself facing new questions about my future. I'd been on hormone therapy for over a year now, and the changes to my body were significant. But there was still the question of surgery. Did I want to pursue gender confirmation surgery? Was it necessary for me to feel complete? These were complex questions without easy answers. I spent many nights talking them through with Olivia, who always listened without judgment and offered thoughtful insights. "There's no right or wrong answer," she told me one evening as we cuddled on her couch. "Surgery doesn't make you more or less of a woman. It's about what feels right for you." I nodded, grateful for her understanding. I think I do want the surgery," I said slowly, the words feeling weighty as I spoke them aloud. "Not because I need it to be a real woman, but because I want my body to align with how I see myself." Olivia squeezed my hand. "Then I'll support you every step of the way," she said simply. The process of preparing for surgery was long and often frustrating. There were countless doctor's appointments, evaluations, and hurdles with insurance. But through it all, I had an amazing support system. Olivia was there for every appointment, holding my hand and asking insightful questions. My friends from the support group offered advice and encouragement. Even my mother, who had struggled to understand my transition at first, called regularly to check in and offer her support. The day of the surgery arrived sooner than I expected. As I lay on the hospital bed, waiting to be wheeled into the operating room, I felt a mix of excitement and terror. Olivia leaned down to kiss my forehead. "You've got this, Emma," she whispered. "I'll be right here when you wake up." When I did wake up, groggy and in pain, the first thing I saw was Olivia's smiling face. And I knew in that moment that everything was going to be okay. Recovery was tough. There were days of pain, discomfort, and frustration. But there were also moments of joy, like the first time I looked in the mirror and saw my body aligning with my inner self. Olivia was there through it all, changing bandages, bringing me soup, and reminding me of how strong I was. As I healed, both physically and emotionally, I found myself reflecting on the journey that had brought me to this point. From that first time trying on my girlfriend's dress to now, living openly as the woman I'd always been inside, it had been a path filled with challenges and triumphs. 6 months after my surgery, I stood in front of the mirror, really looking at myself. I saw the woman I'd always known I was, not because of the surgery or the hormones, but because of the confidence and self-love I'd cultivated along the way. My journey wasn't over. In many ways, it was just beginning. But I was no longer afraid of the path ahead. That evening, as Olivia and I walked along the beach, hand in hand, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of pink and orange, reminding me of that day at the Pride event when I'd first felt truly at home in my own skin. "What are you thinking about?" Olivia asked, noticing my pensive expression. I smiled, squeezing her hand. "I'm thinking about how far I've come and how excited I am for the future. Our future." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the sand, Emma and Olivia continued their leisurely stroll along the beach. The gentle lapping of waves against the shore provided a soothing backdrop to their conversation. "You know," Olivia said, her voice thoughtful, "I've been thinking about what you said earlier, about how far you've come." Emma turned to look at her girlfriend, admiring the way the fading light played across her features. "Oh, what about it?" Olivia stopped walking, tugging Emma's hand gently to face her. "I was thinking about how inspiring your journey has been, not just for you, but for others too. Have you ever considered sharing your story more widely?" Emma blinked, caught off guard by the suggestion. "What do you mean, like writing a book or something?" "Maybe." Olivia nodded, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "Or speaking at events, or even starting a blog. Your experiences could help so many people who are struggling with their identity." Emma chewed her lower lip, considering the idea. It was true that she'd found strength in hearing other people's stories during her own transition. But the thought of putting herself out there so publicly was daunting. "I don't know," she said hesitantly. "It's one thing to talk about my experiences in a support group, but sharing them with the world? That's scary." Olivia reached up, tucking a strand of Emma's hair behind her ear. "Of course it is. But think about how much good you could do. Remember that person at the Pride event? How much it meant to them just to see you being confident and happy?" Emma nodded slowly, remembering the hopeful look in the young person's eyes. "You're right. It did make a difference for them. And it could make a difference for so many others," Olivia said softly. "But hey, no pressure. It's just something to think about." They resumed their walk, the cool evening breeze rustling their clothes. Emma's mind whirled with possibilities. Could she really make a difference on a larger scale? As they neared the end of the beach, Emma spotted a familiar figure in the distance. Her heart skipped a beat as she recognized Tom, her former college buddy who had reacted so poorly to her transition during that chance encounter at the mall. "Everything okay?" Olivia asked, noticing Emma's sudden tension. Emma nodded, taking a deep breath. "Yeah, it's just... See that guy over there? He's an old friend who didn't take my transition well when I ran into him a while back." Olivia's grip on Emma's hand tightened supportively. "Do you want to leave?" Emma paused, considering. Then, straightening her shoulders, she shook her head. "No, I think I want to talk to him." As they approached, Tom looked up from where he was sitting on a piece of driftwood. His eyes widened in recognition, a mix of emotions flashing across his face. "Hi, Tom," Emma said, her voice steady despite her nervousness. "It's been a while?" Tom stood slowly, brushing sand from his jeans. "Yeah, it has," he said, his voice gruff. He glanced at Olivia, then back to Emma. "You look different." Emma couldn't help but smile at the understatement. "I am different. Happier, more myself." She gestured to Olivia. "This is my girlfriend, Olivia." Tom nodded awkwardly at Olivia, then turned back to Emma. "Listen, I've been thinking a lot about our last encounter. I didn't handle it well." Emma felt a surge of hope at his words. "It was a shock, I'm sure." Tom ran a hand through his hair, looking uncomfortable but determined. "Yeah, but that's no excuse. I've done some reading since then, trying to understand. I'm sorry for how I reacted." The sincerity in his voice brought tears to Emma's eyes. "Thank you, Tom. That means a lot." An awkward silence fell over the group, broken only by the sound of the waves. Then Tom spoke again, his voice hesitant. "So, how have you been? Are you happy?" Emma smiled, squeezing Olivia's hand. "I am. It hasn't been an easy journey, but I'm finally living as my true self." Tom nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Good. That's good." As they said their goodbyes, Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders. It wasn't a perfect reconciliation, but it was a start, and it reinforced something she'd been learning throughout her journey. People could grow, could learn to understand and accept. Walking back to the car with Olivia, Emma felt a newfound sense of purpose. "You know," she said, "I think you might be right about sharing my story." Olivia raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Oh?" Emma nodded, her mind already racing with ideas. "Yeah, if my experiences could help even one person feel less alone or help someone like Tom understand better, then it's worth it." Olivia beamed. "I'm so proud of you," she murmured. As they drove home, the streetlights flickering past, Emma felt a sense of excitement building. She didn't know exactly what form her story sharing would take yet, but she knew it was the right next step on her journey. The next morning, Emma woke early, her mind buzzing with ideas. She slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Olivia, and padded to the kitchen. As she waited for the coffee to brew, she opened her laptop and stared at the blank document before her. Taking a deep breath, she began to type. 2 years ago, I stood in front of a mirror in a borrowed dress, scared and confused. Today, I stand before you as Emma, finally comfortable in my own skin. This is my story." The words flowed easily, pouring out of her like a river that had long been dammed. She wrote about her struggles, her triumphs, the support she'd received, and the obstacles she'd overcome. As the sun rose higher in the sky, painting the kitchen in warm golden light, Emma continued to write, lost in the catharsis of sharing her journey. She was so engrossed that she didn't hear Olivia enter the kitchen until a steaming mug of coffee appeared at her elbow. Emma looked up, blinking as if coming out of a trance. "How long have you been writing?" Olivia asked, her voice soft with admiration as she peered at the screen. Emma glanced at the clock, surprised to see that several hours had passed. I'm not sure. It just started coming out." "That's wonderful, babe. Can I read it?" Emma hesitated for a moment, then nodded. As Olivia read, Emma watched her face, seeing the emotions play across her features. Pride, sadness, joy, and love. When she finished, Olivia looked up with tears in her eyes. "Emma, this is beautiful. It's honest and raw and so powerful." Emma felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "You really think so?" "I know so," Olivia said firmly. "This could help so many people. Have you thought about where you want to share it?" Emma chewed her lip thoughtfully. "I was thinking maybe starting a blog, and then maybe reaching out to some LGBTQ+ publications." Olivia nodded enthusiastically. "That's a great idea. And, I have a contact at the community center who organizes speaking events. I bet she'd love to have you share your story." As they discussed possibilities over breakfast, Emma felt a growing sense of excitement. This was a new chapter in her journey, one where she could use her experiences to help others and promote understanding. Over the next few weeks, Emma threw herself into her new project. She set up a blog, carefully designing it to be welcoming and informative. She worked on polishing her written story, breaking it into a series of posts that chronicled her journey. The day she hit publish on her first post, her hand trembled slightly as it hovered over the mouse. Olivia, sitting beside her, gave her an encouraging smile. "You've got this," she said softly. Emma took a deep breath and clicked. Her story was out there now, available for anyone to read. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. The response was overwhelming. Comments began to pour in, messages of support, questions from people starting their own journeys, and even a few from cisgender individuals thanking her for helping them understand better. One comment in particular stood out. "I'm the parent of a transgender child, and I've been struggling to understand what they're going through. Your story has opened my eyes and my heart. Thank you for sharing your journey. It's helping me be a better parent to my child." Emma read the comment through tears, feeling a profound sense of purpose. This was why she'd decided to share her story. As her blog gained traction, Emma found herself receiving invitations to speak at events. Her first speaking engagement was at a local high school's GSA, Gay Straight Alliance, meeting. As she stood at the front of the classroom, facing a group of teenagers with a mix of curiosity and hope in their eyes, Emma felt a momentary panic. But then she began to speak, sharing her story just as she had written it. As she talked, she saw heads nodding, saw tears in some eyes, and saw smiles of recognition from others. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. During the Q&A session that followed, one student raised their hand hesitantly. "How did you find the courage to be yourself?" they asked, their voice barely above a whisper. Emma smiled gently. "It wasn't easy," she admitted. "But I realized that living a lie was harder than facing the truth. And I found that for every person who didn't understand, there were others who supported me wholeheartedly. The key is to surround yourself with those who love you for who you truly are." As she left the school that day, Emma felt a profound sense of fulfillment. She was making a difference, one story at a time. Months passed, and Emma's platform continued to grow. She spoke at more schools, wrote articles for LGBTQ+ magazines, and even appeared on a local news segment about transgender rights. One evening, as she and Olivia were curled up on the couch, Emma's phone buzzed with an email notification. She opened it, her eyes widening as she read. "Oh my God," she breathed. "What is it?" Olivia asked, concern in her voice. Emma looked up, her face a mix of shock and excitement. It's a literary agent. They want to talk to me about turning my blog into a book." Olivia let out a squeal of delight, pulling Emma into a tight hug. "That's amazing! Oh, Emma, I'm so proud of you!" As they celebrated, Emma felt a sense of awe wash over her. 2 years ago, she had been hiding her true self, terrified of the future. Now she was openly living as her authentic self, in a loving relationship, and potentially on the verge of becoming a published author. Her journey was far from over, but as she looked at Olivia, saw the love and pride shining in her eyes, Emma knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she was ready to face them. She had found her voice, and she would use it to help others find theirs. The next morning, Emma woke early, her mind already racing with thoughts about the potential book deal. She slipped out of bed, careful not to disturb Olivia, and made her way to the small home office they shared. Settling into her chair, she opened her laptop and began to write, trying to organize her thoughts about what a book might entail. As she typed, she found herself reflecting on how much her life had changed since she'd first started exploring her identity. She thought about the scared person she'd been, trying on dresses in secret, and marveled at how far she'd come. Now she was considering sharing her most intimate experiences with the world in the form of a book. Lost in thought, Emma didn't notice the hours slipping by until she felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. She looked up to see Olivia standing beside her, 2 steaming mugs of coffee in hand. "You've been at it for hours," Olivia said softly, setting one of the mugs down beside Emma. "How's it going?" Emma stretched, feeling the stiffness in her muscles from sitting for so long. Overwhelming, she admitted. There's so much to say, so many experiences to share. How do I condense it all into a book? Olivia pulled up a chair, sitting down beside Emma. You don't have to figure it all out at once, she said gently. Why don't you start by making a list of the most important moments in your journey? The turning points, the big decisions, the moments of realization. Emma nodded, grateful as always for Olivia's practical advice. She opened a new document and began to type, listing out key moments. 1. The first time trying on a dress. 2. Coming out to my girlfriend. 3. Starting hormone therapy. 4. Coming out at work. 5. Meeting Olivia. 6. Gender confirmation surgery. 7. Starting the blog. As she wrote, more memories came flooding back, both good and bad. She added them to the list, feeling a mix of emotions as she relived each moment. This is a good start, Olivia said, reading over Emma's shoulder. Each of these could be a chapter, you know? You could delve deep into what you were feeling, what led up to each moment, and how it changed you. Emma nodded, feeling a spark of excitement. You're right, and I could include some of the resources that helped me, maybe some advice for others who are just starting their journeys. They spent the rest of the morning brainstorming ideas for the book, the excitement building between them. By lunchtime, Emma had a rough outline and a clearer vision of what her book could be. As they prepared lunch together, Olivia turned to Emma with a serious expression. You know, writing this book, it's going to mean revisiting some painful memories. Are you ready for that? Emma paused, considering the question. I think so, she said slowly. It won't be easy, but if sharing those experiences can help someone else, it'll be worth it. Olivia nodded, pulling Emma into a hug. I'm here for you every step of the way, she murmured. Over the next few weeks, Emma threw herself into preparing for her meeting with the literary agent. She polished her book proposal, refined her outline, and even wrote a sample chapter. The day of the meeting arrived, and Emma stood in front of her closet, feeling a familiar flutter of anxiety. What should she wear? She wanted to look professional, but also authentically herself. After much deliberation, she settled on a tailored blazer over a flowy blouse, paired with slim-fit trousers and low heels. As she applied her makeup, she caught Olivia's eye in the mirror. You look beautiful, Olivia said, coming up behind Emma and wrapping her arms around her waist. And more importantly, you look confident. Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself. I feel confident, she said, surprising herself with the truth of the statement. I know this story is important, and I'm ready to share it. The meeting with the agent, a sharp-eyed woman named Marianne, went better than Emma could have hoped. Marianne was enthusiastic about the project, offering insights and suggestions that only strengthened Emma's vision for the book. Your story is compelling, Emma, Marianne said as the meeting drew to a close. And more importantly, it's timely. There's a real need for authentic transgender narratives in the market right now. I think we can make this happen. As Emma left the office, contract in hand, she felt a sense of unreality. Was this really happening? Was she really going to be an author? She called Olivia immediately, her voice breathless with excitement as she recounted the meeting. Olivia's joy and pride were palpable even through the phone. We need to celebrate, Olivia declared. Dinner out tonight, my treat. That evening, as they sat across from each other in a cozy Italian restaurant, Emma couldn't stop smiling. She raised her glass of wine, looking into Olivia's eyes. To new beginnings, she said softly. Olivia clinked her glass against Emma's. To you, my love. To your courage, your strength, and your beautiful story. As they ate and talked, Emma felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her. For her journey, for the people who had supported her along the way, and for the opportunity to share her experiences with others. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Writing the book would mean delving deep into painful memories, confronting past traumas, and exposing herself to potential criticism. But as she looked at Olivia, saw the love and support shining in her eyes, Emma knew she was ready for the challenge. This book wasn't just her story anymore. It was a message of hope for anyone struggling with their identity, a guide for those just beginning their journeys, and a call for understanding to the world at large. As they left the restaurant, hand in hand, Emma felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever before. She was Emma, she was loved, and she had a story to tell. And she was going to tell it, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.